Hello, I am Bentham, and welcome back to Factorio Towns, and it's pitch black at the moment, so I finally remembered to put in some lights so that you can actually see what's going on, and also that I'll fix that belt on the end of the red signs production. So we'll just run around and plonk lights wherever it looks like we might need some, and we'll actually be able to see what we're doing. And I noticed that the coal mine has run out, so we'll quickly shift that so we can carry on feeding coal into the iron smelting. And speaking of the iron smelting, we're going to be doing a lot of work today on improving the iron production rate, because you always need more iron at the start. And we're going to start by adding in some more furnaces, because we've just hooked up the new deposit in the south, and we need some more smelters to get it all being smelted. We're also getting on with the last bits now of research that only uses red science packs. We're onto all the ammo damage and speed stuff. So that'll take a bit to burn through, and then once we're done with that, we'll be on to all of the red and green stuff, at which point we'll start working towards getting some trains researched. So we've added in a bunch more iron smelters. We've now got 8 of them to correspond to the 4 iron mines that we have, electric iron mines, because they mine enough for 2 standard stone furnaces. And later on we'll look into upgrading those into steel furnaces, which work twice as fast. Checking up on the science, it looks like we've got a nice build-up of science packs, so I think we can start adding in some more labs fairly soon. And I check up on all the supplies of basic materials. It looks like we need a couple more gears being made, so I stick a fast inserter leading into that to speed things up. Then we have an attack over in the stone mine that we've got over here, and it's a little bit of a big one, and the turret takes quite a bit of damage, so I decide I'm going to upgrade the defenses over here by adding in some walls. So we'll move the turret up, give it a little bit of space, and build some walls around it, supplied of course by the iron mine that it is protecting. And we'll also do that over at this this copper deposit here, because we'll not be visiting this often, and in fact it's going to run out pretty soon, because there's only a little bit left there anyway. But we can just leave that to do its thing, and it shouldn't take too much damage. If it even is attacked, it's a little bit out of the way, and the biters don't seem that interested in it anyway. So looking at the power system, it looks like we've pretty much reached the limit of the 4 steam engines we've got, so I'm going to double up the column. Also we get a little bit more science done. We're onto bullet shooting speed now. Bullet damage has been finished. So I put in another 5 boilers and another 4 steam engines, and that should keep us going for a little bit longer. Well, I don't know how much longer really. We want to try and go towards solar at some point in the future, but for now we'll just stick to steam and hope that the biters don't get too angry about it. Seeing as we've extended the column, we'll also add in some more defences towards the end, otherwise the biters will have free reign over the steam engines on the end of the column. So we'll stick another couple there, nice arrangement, sort of flanking either side of it. And looking at the coal supply, it looks like we could do with another mining drill there maybe. I leave it for now because I get slightly distracted by other stuff. We get an attack down in the iron deposit in the south. I need to keep an eye on that. And I also run around and do some resupplying of the coal for the furnaces before putting in the extra miner here. We want to make sure there's a very good supply of coal going to the power system, because of course if there's just enough coal or not quite enough coal for the power system, you'll end up in a spiral of power failure, which is never any good. So it looks like at the moment our copper supply is fantastic. It's built up nicely. The buffer chest is filling up. I've switched in some fast inserters for it to keep it filling up nicely. So we've got no worries there. It's all going to be iron today. I'm also working on adding in some more science labs now, but we run out of power poles halfway through, so I'll run off and grab some wood from the nearest area that I can. And while I'm over here, I have a look at that big biter base there, looking formidable, but I still don't see any worms, and I've got a better look at it now because it's been I got a daytime visit. So at some point we'll have to tackle that, and it's going to be a bit of a difficulty. But if there's no worms, we can do it with ammo and armor. People have also suggested using the turrets, seeing as they've had their I think the damage rate has been increased by some amount or another, meaning that the turret creep method is a little bit easier to implement because you don't have to build so many individual turrets. I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to go for the standard run in and shoot them all sort of tactic. It's less cheaty. Anyway. With the red science nearly complete, we're going to work on setting up some green science production. So we've got a column of 5 assemblers here. This is following the ratio that I usually go for, where I have 4 red science assemblers and 5 green science assemblers. It seems to work out well, at least in the late game, and it'll be fine now for the early game. I guess the ratio will at least be the same, so that's good. We'll resupply on iron. It's building up nicely in the buffer chest, but I think that's because I've disconnected it from disconnected the output for now. Because iron isn't perfect, it's not filling up the belt, and it would be good if it could do that. Because until then, we want to have a sort of proper supply of science. Well, we want one of the science system running as fast as it can. Also adding in some walls around the turrets on the end of the steam engine column, because it seems like it's taking a little bit of fire, and I'm just sort of implementing it wherever there's sort of the more dangerous biter attacks. Anywhere where the biters are actually attacking anyway, because there's some spots that they aren't really going for. Looking at the green science, it's clear that iron is the problem. It's all being hoovered up by the inserter production, but it's not enough to fill up the belts. So we'll go over to the iron deposit and see what we can do about upgrading it. At the moment we only have 2 mining drills over there, so there's definitely more area to expand. I stick in a third one for now, which fills in the gap in between those. And we'll also sort of upgrade its defensive capabilities a bit, because with it being a little bit out of the way and in the middle of an area which has a couple of biter bases in it. You can't see them right now, but we'll get them scanned later on in the episode. It's a good idea to basically make this thing as self-sufficient as it can be for when you're not there. So I put in some walls, but I didn't have enough to properly do it, and I've also resupplied the turrets to make sure they can last a while. Back at main base, we're going to set up some steel production. The reason being that we want to get some armor-piercing ammo as soon as possible, as well as some armor and things like that. It's generally a good idea. We want a steel pickaxe as well as soon as our standard one runs out that we started with. I'm going to mess about with that turret a bit because we want to move this line up a bit. What with us adding in another mining drill up at down at the iron deposit, we've now got a capacity to use 10 furnaces. So I'll put those in, get those all fueled, get the coal line in the right place. Another attack, I think this time that was at the steam engine. There's just a lot going on, and a lot more than I'm used to, really. It seems like I've not quite got the balance right with the biters. I think part of it is that I'm not, like, in the middle of the starting area, as far as I can tell, because usually the starting area is in the middle of a group of lakes, and as you can see, I'm sort of on the side of the group of lakes. I could be wrong, but it does seem like there's a lot of biter bases in the east and none in the west, so it's like I've ended up on the east side of the spawning area or something like that. I don't really understand fully how the starting area works and whether you always appear in the middle of it or not. Anyway, we're gonna do a lot of upgrading over at the iron outpost because 5 mining drills is still not enough. We're gonna add a bunch more in, and we'll start upgrading the furnaces back at base once we have the technology, so they can deal with a higher rate of iron ore coming in, because we always need more. It's always the limiting factor early on. So I've added in a third turret to help sort of, well, it's just sort of to mirror the expansion of the outpost. It becomes more and more important that it's well defended, and of course more pollution is being generated the more miners I add in, so it's attracting more and more interest from the biters. They're starting to be uncovered now by the radar. We're getting attacked back at the main base. There's a lot of them going for the steam engines as well. They seem to be like the main targets. There's a couple of them going for the stone area, but I think that's just because it's in the way, and they're aiming for like the main production or something like that. Looking at the science, it has built up right now, but the green really hasn't built up very much, considering that none of it is actually being used. So we'll have to see what happens when the iron gets down the line, and we also get on with upgrading the furnaces a bit. We'll grab a bunch of stone, because of course we'll need that when we're setting up the furnaces. Also doing a bit of flooring, just because I'm trying to sort of fill out everything. I don't know what my plan is. I'm just sort of carpeting the entire factory at the moment. It just feels like the right thing to do, and it does help with running around, particularly because I'm in a desert. I don't know if on foot you're slower in desert than in dirt and things like that, but I know you definitely are in vehicles. So it's sort of it's a good future investment. Anyway, we're into the green science stuff now. We've researched what was it we did first? We did military 2 first, so that we could get armor-piercing ammo, and I immediately start making that out of the steel that we've gathered up. And next I start researching advanced material processing, so that we can start making some steel furnaces and get the iron being smelted faster. As you can see, that's still the limiting factor in the factory. There's like the gears are backed up, everything's backed up except iron, basically, so that is what's limiting how quick the green science is being made. And it is running down a little bit right now. We'll have to see if we can speed that up before it starts to impact the science rate. Doing the rounds with the coal, there's still a couple of furnaces around that need to be manually fueled, i.e. the ones for stone, steel and copper. Don't know if I'll bother changing them. I'd like to try and get to electric furnaces as quick as possible, but I don't know if I would get to them quick enough to not actually bother having these automatically fueled at some point, particularly considering that I'm now upgrading them to steel furnaces, because I think they burn coal twice as fast. I think they do that anyway. I always forget what the particular pros and cons are of the different furnaces, and what actually goes up and what doesn't when you upgrade it. Anyway, looking at the map, I've decided we want to get scanning a little bit quicker, so we've got a better idea of what deposits we have around us, and also what biter threats we have to worry about. At the moment, I haven't seen any in the west, so if there are any biter bases in the west, I want to know about them. Also, we have another attack at the iron deposit. This one does a bit of damage, so they managed to get to the wall, and that's always a worry. You got to keep an eye out for that, because of course if they can get to the wall, they can eventually break it down. Anyway, what we're doing at the moment in the main base is working on putting in some steel furnaces. We started making the first few, and we're putting them into steel production because you need steel to make more of them. So it's sort of being limited by how quickly it could be smelted. I could get some standard stone furnaces going, but I just want to go straight to steel now with what I've got, and then work on upgrading the iron smelting with some steel furnaces. It's always a bit confusing calling them steel furnaces, because it sounds like they are furnaces for smelting steel, and indeed those ones are, but sometimes they're not, of course. And in research-wise, we're now working on the railway. As soon as I got the two researches that I wanted done, that being military 1 and advanced material processing, I went to the prerequisites for railway. So we researched engines and logistics 2, and now we're researching the railway itself. And there's 2 more researches after this until we've got all rail-based stuff done and ready to go. So that's good, and we'll start looking at building some trains later on. I have another tank over at the end of the steam engine column, so I'll resupply the turrets. And as time goes on, I'm sort of increasing the ammo capacity, sort of trying to scale with the intensity of the biter attack, so that the turrets continue to have enough to deal with a couple in a row. Doing a little bit more work on the gear production, using a fast inserter on the outputs to help with that, because now the iron has actually built up, but the gears are running down. I guess once the iron built up, the inserter assembler could run faster, and it needed more gears to go. Also, while I'm doing all the railway research, it requires a double red science for some reason or another, which means there's a lot more in the way of gears and also copper being used up to do the research. Anyway, now that I've got 2 steel furnaces working on steel production, we're getting a lot more done in terms of that, and we've now got all but 2 of the stone furnaces upgraded. So we've now got a capacity for, I think, 9 miners. Also, that radar that I just built nearly got blown up. There was one biter that came along from the west and started attacking it. So I guess we'll have to set up some defences over here and find out what biter base that was. It's probably a fairly small one to be sending only one biter, or maybe it's right on the edge of the pollution. It's hard to say. But hopefully we'll find out what's going on there. I've set up a wall anyway and a turret, so there's nothing that can get through without a bit of a fight now. So we're going to go over to the iron deposit, see what the situation is, and it's not good. A biter's managed to, the ammo ran out on 2 of the guns, and there was a biter just happily munching away on the wall without anything trying to stop it. Luckily we arrived in time to spot that and fix that. I also fixed a miner that I'd forgotten to actually connect up to the conveyor belt, and then we'll get the wall repaired and make sure everything's sort of working well. And we'll put in a radar as well, just so we can get better coverage of the area up here, because of course it's quite important with this being our main supply of iron, and we want to know what biter bases are going on around here. There's also quite a large copper deposit there that we can make use of in future, so that's probably going to be the site of a town at some point, possibly for making circuits, because it's got iron and copper, though the rate that it's going at the moment, there's not going to be any iron left by the time we start actually setting up our towns. Meanwhile, the copper supply is absolutely fine. Though one of the miners has actually run out, and there's only 2 furnaces running now, but the supply is still backed up, so that's pretty good. I'm not sure if at this point the buffer chest is running down. It might be, but there's enough to keep us going for a little while anyway. So we're working on rail signal research now. We've already done automatic rail transportation, or automated even. So that's the last bit of rail research we need to do, and so I started setting up the various components we need to actually make some trains. So for that we need a pipe assembler, and that and the gear assembler needs to feed into an assembler for engines. We need 20 engines to make a train, so what I do is limit the amount of steel that you need for you need steel for an engine, so I limit the amount that goes into the assembler to 20, which is how much you need, and that way we don't waste any steel, because it's still in fairly short supply. We've not got much of it handy, and we want to use it for making armor-piercing ammo, which we now have a little bit of, and I used a little bit in the iron deposit that we had in the middle turret, just for when the attacks get a little bit too intense. Anyway, seeing as we can easily craft it in our inventory, I've made some rails, and I've set up a sort of area to display the first train that we build, because when we build it, we'll still be working on deciding where our towns and things will go. So I'm just going to display it for posterity and stuff as our very first train, and at some point in the future it'll get its job. So over at the iron smelting, we've just had the second of the 2 mining drills run out. So from now on, we're relying entirely on iron brought in from the various deposits around the place. I had a quick look on the map there to see what the situation was, both in terms of iron and biters. Neither of them are particularly good. There's a lot of little iron deposits about, and possibly too many. I may have not quite got the map generation right. So the towns, some of them may have to sort of work from multiple deposits that are a little bit of a distance from each other. I'll work it out as we get there. Anyway, getting on with crafting a bunch of ammo right now, armor-piercing ammo, and I've also queued up a suit of armor, which I think used 50 steel, so it's not cheap, but it is pretty useful early on in helping us deal with any biter attacks. And what I'm going to do is actually go over to a biter base fairly soon and see about attacking it, see whether we have the firepower to deal with it, and sort of help reduce the number of attacks that are currently happening, because it is a bit worrying. I am like the factory's sort of relying on me running around and checking up on turrets right now, and that's always a bit of a worry, because if you forget one, then it can go very wrong very quickly. So down at the iron outpost, the radar that I built has nearly been destroyed. The biters can reach over walls, so you have to watch out for that. So I move it back to make it harder for them to attack it, and then we'll go over to this biter base here. It's only got 2 spawners, but it is in range of a larger one, so we may have to worry about a couple of biters running over from there. It's fairly easy to deal with the biters that run in, because the armor-piercing ammo dispatches the small biters pretty rapidly. Unfortunately, as we grab the alien artifacts, we sort of incur the wrath of the other base, and it's a little bit hairy for a second, but our armor protects us nicely, and we quickly deal with them. So that's one base down, and I guess we'll keep working from there. That one was a fairly small one, and I think we'll have to have a little bit more ammo for the next ones that we attack, because I think we ended up down to 10 magazines after starting with 50. So it does take quite a bit to take out a base. If we do some research into ammo damage and things like that, that should help. And ammo speed it will help as well, because we'll get it done quicker before more biters can spawn and things like that. Anyway, over at the iron deposit, we're doing some more building. We're actually going to have this whole deposit covered now by miners, because we just keep needing more iron. And with the steel production happening as well, that's eating into our iron supply and things like that. Unfortunately, I didn't bring enough supplies to actually finish it off. I don't have enough iron even to build the belts that connect up the miners to everything else. And I don't even have enough in the way of stone to finish off the wall. So there's a nice 3-block gap there, which isn't good. But we'll put some armor-piercing ammo into the turrets to help make it quite a formidable fort, because there's going to be a lot of attacks going on with it having that many miners in it. And we'll make our way back to the base so we can resupply and get all the remaining materials that we need to finish off all the defences and things. And then hopefully we can just leave it to do its thing and occasionally run over resupply, and we'll get plenty of iron ore coming in from it. So grabbed a bunch of stone. We're also crafting some belts, and while we're over at the main base we get another attack, but it is easily enough weathered, and there goes rail signal research. So I've now got all the rail research done, nice and quick, and we'll work on building the train pretty soon, and then hopefully as soon as next episode we might start actually building our towns properly, or at least sort of working out where they'll be and like placing markers, because early on it'll be a bit difficult to sort of transition to relying on the outposts, because we need to set up quite a few different ones at the same time in order to have them doing red and green signs. So we'll keep our sort of central I guess town, I guess it is a town, for a bit, and see how we go from there. So with the The iron deposit, nicely defended. We'll make our way back to the main base, and we'll pretty much finish up. We'll just sort of do the rounds. We'll grab a bunch of steel. It's building up nicely now, and we can finish off upgrading the remaining 2 furnaces, and then we'll run around, resupply the coal and everything. Though I noticed that the copper furnaces have stopped because the copper supplies run out, so we'll have to do something about that next episode. And also, we get the first train built, so there it is. And we'll finish up there just as soon as we've got the next bit of science done. So, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.